if you look at time as money, you start to value yourself differently.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sid Charisse.
And I'm David Bosher.
And you're listening to Destroy the Hairdresser,
where we teach you to salon differently. After years of searching, we finally found a software that does it all. Introducing Aura Salonware. With Aura, you have the simple tools to streamline your business, such as a card on file, settings for hourly pricing, and even station sharing options. Implement communication boundaries with clients by interacting directly through Aura. Finally, a software that takes your business as seriously as you do. If you're interested in this type of profit maximization, visit aurasalonware.com/DTH to receive special discounts and promos.
As a hairdresser, I know the struggle of managing your back bar, and that's where our friends at SalonScale come to play. While you weigh your products with their app, SalonScale automatically tracks your products used, making inventory management a breeze. Not to mention, they also save your formula. They are a digital solution for back bar management, and they really make it easy. You know we're both big on knowing your numbers, and SalonScale does just that. Visit salonscale.com/DTH and use the code DTH10 at checkout for 10% off your first year.
Do you ever feel like you're
running out of time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My biggest fear in life is to not... It's funny because I talked to my therapist about this. And I think I told you last night, actually. We were watching a show last night, and the show said in memory of so-and-so.
Oh, yeah.
And I turned to Sid and I said, that's my biggest nightmare. And I think you were like, what is?
Yeah.
Dying on set?
I'm like,
no.
Having it say in memory of a show you worked on?
My biggest fear in life is that would be my legacy. That I worked my whole life and it accumulated to in memory of.
Got it. And then you've forgotten forever.
Yeah, that's my biggest fear. And so that brings me to my other fear, which is that I'm going to die before I can do something with my life. And then my partner's like, you are more known than a lot of people in your industry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not enough. And so time is a big deal to me.
Not known enough.
Yeah, time is a big deal to me. I don't want to run out of time. I don't know if any other creatives out there feel this, but I'm always like, I should probably write a book, and I should I should teach another class, and I should meet more people.
Just as a company, you and I have an artist, we have a plethora of a list of ideas that we want to bring in but it's just like...
I think a lot of artistic people are like that. Like, I need to produce something that lives on.
Yeah.
And I know that...
that was one of our things that we taught in coaching a lot.
Legacy work.
We would do legacy work with them of what are you leaving behind? Can you still do what you're doing in 5 years? And I mean, everybody said no. This isn't what I want to be.
It's interesting too because some people have never thought about it.
Some people have never thought about it. If I think about I think so quickly, and I know you do too because we work quickly. And thank God we have a team that is very comfortable with being uncomfortable because
and dealing with all of our changes that we make every day.
We make changes so quickly because there isn't enough time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try something for 5 years just to say that was a waste of time. Exactly. We're not wasting time here. And I think that's something big, when...
That's what the salon industry has been doing for years.
Yeah, in the salon industry, we've been teaching this years before pandemic. I mean, pandemic was we were like, oh my God, this is going to make people pause and see how valuable their time is.
I thought people were going to... I thought our company was going to go under.
I did not think that. I was like, because we were online only prior to pandemic, and we had to fight people to get online, to get on Zoom, and finally,
it's true.
Everyone,
pandemic was the most influential year for us.
We were we didn't have physical overhead. It was all virtual.
We talk a lot about charging for your time, and there's a lot of feedback on charging for your time. And I think the feedback comes from not understanding the higher concept and consciousness of it, because it's not simply just I charge per second.
We have a formula, we have a system, we have a breakdown, and that's something we teach in our coaching program. But I think talking about the consciousness of the why behind it all
It's very important.
Yeah. And, we say to people all the time, I'm like, do what pricing system works for you.
Yeah.
This is what we're teaching and talking about it with this consciousness. And this is how it's working in the setting for our students. But I think people put all this unnecessary competitive, like, well, that's wrong and this is right. And it's just like, it's your business. Charge the way you want. Do what you want. We're going to do it this way.
It's funny.
And that's okay.
Because I always think we have so many other methods that are super disruptive.
Yeah.
And this one I thought is the
this
least.
This is pretty easy.
But I have to tell you, hairdressers out there that aren't charging for their time, what are you charging for, and how do you value it? Because are you charging for the so what I hear a lot is like, well, how do you make sure that you're getting your costs covered?
Yeah.
And we have the answer for that.
Yeah.
But a bigger
cost is included in our formula.
But a bigger consciousness around it is you never asked that before.
Yeah.
So when you made the pricing that you had before hourly pricing, you never questioned the cost of that price. You just most likely copied what someone else did, or you just, your prices were set from somewhere else and you just kind of, raised them $10.
Yeah, brought them over. A lot of people did the $5 or $10 raise every year.
Yeah. And
what's funny is that $5 or $10 every year, which why are we only raising a year? If your retention's, that's a whole different conversation.
Nuts.
But that $5 or $10, that's not even covering the cost of inflation within the past 3 years.
It's not even covering the gas that you're
and
using to get to work. And some
people aren't raising it at all. So
But that's what makes me laugh is that
I could care less about an a la carte. One, if gender was removed, okay? But also two, if...
I just don't get it.
But also, if there was actual profitable raises happening, but there's not.
I guess in my head, and the reason we've always done hourly is Sid is a coloring specialist and I'm a cutting specialist. And
I don't think your time is any less or more valuable than mine.
Yeah.
To do my job does provide more cost.
Yeah.
For sure. But I'm making sure that my price point is effective enough to cover that cost so that my time value is still as valuable as yours.
Right.
And vice versa.
But then you have the argument the other way, which is I shouldn't be charging as much because it doesn't cost me as much.
We have coaches and students that are charging more than I charge as a colorist.
That's very true.
For an hour haircut.
But I just, there are some costs. It's good to know the cost of business. And we do have a new salon economics department at Destroy the Hairdresser coming out.
It's going to simplify that even more than it already is.
It's going to help you with that so much. But our mission originally, and our mission still at DTH, is to help you change your consciousness first. We're not providing spreadsheets first. We're not providing formulas first. We got to get the individual to
the why.
Think differently and to digest
critically
the
think.
Why. Yeah, of course you have to factor in cost of product.
Yeah.
You have to factor in way more than that.
More than that, yeah.
But sometimes you have to coach people from the other way.
Yeah.
From the top down, not from the bottom up. And there's a lot
because if not, it's reactive.
Yeah,
it doesn't. It's just, why are you doing this? Because I thought I had to. Because everyone else is doing it. Because it's there's always. It's like,
or
no,
it's
let's
too
pause.
math.
Yeah, or it's too math.
It's like, well, if I accidentally use some more, so I need to charge parts and labor, and it's like, there's a way. There's a way to understand that some things are a cost of business, and you can still make money by simplifying pay structures.
Yeah.
But if you can't grasp the consciousness of hourly pricing, you're never gonna, if you're trying to do it backwards, like, well, let's do the math and figure it out. We can math it out. We do.
Absolutely.
We do with each individual student. But more importantly is, do you understand why time is valuable and why you should charge for time? It is the number one most, how do I want to say this?
Abused, misused.
And it's a non-renewable resource, right?
Yeah. It is the time is our greatest currency. And I think that people aren't valuing it the way that they should. Again, going back to my pandemic statement, there was this great pause, but I think a lot of people went back to doing what they've always done, and it wasn't prioritizing their time. And so at DTH, we really break that down on a conscious level. Your time, I mean, we if anything spread out, we really get our students to really look at all the time that they're spending on every little micro detail.
Yep.
Not just behind the chair, but in their life, in their admin work, in their social media work, and really being like, what can be cut out and what has to stay and what can be streamlined, because like you said, it's like it's not renewable. And I think that was the thing. It's like when we watch people triple, double, quadruple book their day, working 7 days a week. Sometimes it feels like
8 days a week.
Working 12-hour days. It's like, at what cost? And then they burn out and they go to a different career or they do something else. It just doesn't make sense to me. So, our students are working less than they ever have. They're giving more time. That's a better, client connection.
Do you think people think it's too good to be true?
I mean, yeah, it is too good to be true, but it is true.
But do you think that's the assumption is like...
How can you work less and make more? Yeah.
Yeah, like this is not true. Or it's too good to be true, it's a scam. I do think sometimes people hear our methods and they're like, that can't work. But what's funny is that on the inside, we have so many people that are using them and it's working.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people are afraid of hourly pricing because you finally have to take personal responsibility for your time and how much that costs. And I think if you're like me and you're existential about everything, you like, if I'm worth, let's just say $100 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm worth $100 an hour, that means I'm worth $2,400 in a day.
Yeah.
Times, however many days I'm going to be alive, right? And then it's like, if you look at that number, it's kind of interesting to be like, this is, and again,
you're doing a 24-hour, like...
I'm doing, and also like, you shouldn't just value your life in dollars. But if you do that, it kind of sets a tone for you of like, oh my God, I need to figure out how to bring that much home. And then you work backwards. How do I now set up a business to do that? That's really the consciousness at DTH is a little more unlimited and bigger thinking and getting out of the rat race. And I always say the roller coaster of making more and then making less, then making more and then making less, then being slow and then being... It's really about hopefully getting our industry to a place where it's healthier, there's less ups and downs, and I get paid almost a salary that I control.
Yeah.
And
it's painful sometimes because sometimes to make what you want to make means having really uncomfortable conversations, or it means that you are setting a path to get to a certain place, or sometimes we have our students think really big in a number that they want to take home. And we always focus on the take home, not revenue. And I think a lot of people are focused on, their service sales and whole, like, oh, I'm a 6-figure hairdresser because they did 6 figures in service sales.
But they took home 85.
No, but their take home sometimes is less than that. Like, like 40 I've seen, it depends on all of the factors of their expenses and everything like that and the cost. But at the same time, it's one of those things that it just, let's just pause. Let's look at what we're doing. Let's look at what we're bringing in. Let's really figure out what we want to take home, what we want on that piece of paper at the end of the year, and how can we use our formula to really work it back. But our formula also is including being a human.
Yeah, not just cost of business.
Not just cost of business.
Just the cost of being alive.
Just the cost of being alive, yeah, and that is time. What do you want in time? And I think that's the biggest focus that we put on it. And then we get into also as a 100% queer-owned company, finding a way to remove gendered pricing was a big thing, and time was also the solution for that. So when creating this method, we were thinking, how can we give more time back to the person who needs to live their life while not sacrificing their financial means and needs, and also, removing really old, social, harmful systems. We have partnered with Hairstory, a product line that is good for our clients, our planet, and our bank account. Have you heard of New Wash? It's like a shampoo, but actually good for your hair. New Wash is a cleansing cream that cleans and conditions without the harsh foams and damaging detergents found in traditional shampoos. Hairstory does things differently, creating more conscious options that respect the environment and your hair ecosystem. Ready to try New Wash for free? Visit hairstory.com/DTH to get pro access today.
Another thing that we hear a lot is that hourly pricing will cap your income, or the fear of that, right? But I've said it before, and I will say it again. The only thing for a hairdresser that will cap your income is being completely booked.
Yeah.
Because you can raise your price.
Or closing your books. Oh my gosh.
Or
Whenever I see
closing
someone
your
that's like,
books.
they're closing their books.
I'm too booked. I'm going to close my books. No, you're too booked. You got to raise your prices.
Whenever I'm in love with my brow girl, Jamie. Hi, in Chicago. Uprooted Beauty.
Can we start saying
Lounge.
raise your rate instead of raise your prices?
We say whatever the hell we want.
Okay.
Our podcast, right?
It is. Sometimes I feel like it isn't.
Anyways, back to my brow girl. Whenever she is already expensive and it is a priority to me, I prioritize spending money in her business. And it's mostly because I get so many compliments. So to me, that's value and where
That's
I'm spending
key.
my money.
It's a priority too.
And every time she raises her prices, of course, my wallet goes, ee! But I'm so happy for her because she's getting so booked that she has to. Because again, if you cap your books and you stop booking and you're
always
screwed.
shoot myself in the foot because I teach all the, like if I go to a massage therapist or if I have my nails done or whatever, if I go to someone, I'm like teaching them like, you should do hourly and you should charge this. And then,
I've told so many people to raise their rates and then they do. And then I'm like.
Then I'm fucked.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, now I have to pay that.
But then it's just, it's still worth it.
Absolutely.
And it's also okay if I couldn't afford her anymore.
Absolutely. And
her business needs to grow and it deserves to grow and her time is valuable and her art and craft is valuable. And if that means that my financials can't handle it, it's sad. It sucks. But it's not a personal attack on me.
We get so many brow technicians and nail technicians interested in DTH.
And lash,
that are so interested in the DTH methods. And I love it because, and there are some in our program. So if you're out there and you're in the lash, nail, brow world, we do coach. We coach you the same techniques to your business. But it's just, I think there are people out there that totally get it.
Yeah.
They're on board. There are some people it takes a little bit longer to digest it. And then there are others that are just like, I can't do that. What I don't want to hear is, well, that would never work here. That's
it won't.
Not true.
If that's what you think, then it won't.
Yeah, it's not true that it won't work there. It's true that you won't be able to do it.
Yeah, and hourly pricing might not be for everyone, and that's also okay.
Yeah. Don't if it's too much, don't do it. But also don't put it down. You may do it in the future. That's our goal too at Destroy the Hairdresser, keeping everyone future-proof.
Yeah.
We're talking about 20 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
And those who are
always.
And so if you're doing the things that we coach to in today's world, you won't be behind later on. And that's, I think sometimes people forget that as well. But when you look at hourly pricing and you start to look at time as money, which I know is cliche, but if you look at time as money, you start to value yourself differently. I remember when I switched to hourly pricing, I started to being like, is doing laundry valuable to me anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Or what is worth my time? What's worth my time? And then if it's not worth my time, how do I pay someone else to do it?
Or how do I make the money to be able to get to that point?
Or how do I make the money? Yeah. You start to think differently about your business. That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the real goal, not the just making more and working less. That's a symptom and a side effect of doing hourly. But the goal is to change the way that you look at life and business as a whole.
I think I just want to be able to give hairdressers, because I can only speak for hairdressers right now, but everybody more time in their life. I mean, I have never met someone on their deathbed that didn't say, I wish I had more time.
Yeah.
I was actually watching this lady talk recently, and
I wish I wouldn't have worked so much.
Yeah, her granddaughter asked her, because now in her 70s, she's living the life that she's always wanted because she just had enough. And so she's living the life, and her granddaughter asked her, like, what would you do differently or advice that you would tell me? And she goes, I wish I wouldn't have worked so much. Like, I wish I wouldn't have cared so much about the things that I thought were important. And, that is hard in the moment to grasp and think about, but
it's hard.
I don't want to have regrets.
It's hard if you have bills and kids and
responsibilities
But I think even then there's a way to find peace. And I think for hairdressers, charging for your time can give you that control over your life and some more peace. The other thing too is I hear a lot of salon owners and hairdressers get really freaked out about money.
Yeah, money's scary.
but this is really why I love coaching, is when they start coaching, they think we're going to talk about just their business. And then we start talking about their family and, how long they've been married and their kids. And then, you get close to people when you're coaching them. And then you find out that they're freaking out about money, but then you find out that they pay for everything in their family because they're embarrassed they're a hairdresser.
Yeah.
This is a true story. They're embarrassed that they're a hairdresser, and so they pay for everything to make it look like they're very successful.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, so you're not worried about money's not the problem.
It's ego.
The problem is the way you look, and you're running out of money to prove something.
Yep.
And so in that coaching session, it was, we're going to stop giving money to we're going to stop today spending money on everyone. And all of a sudden, there was more money in the business.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, there was less
peace.
There was peace. There was no stress of there wasn't enough money in the account. It's like, oh, the problem wasn't the salon not making money in the situation. The problem was how the person was using it in their personal life. And that's why our coaching program is so different. Yes, you can take any coaching program, you can take any class and learn how to make more money. But if you are not learning how to stop certain behaviors or habits that are hurting the cash flow or hurting the way that you use money or hurting your business, but it's happening somewhere else, that if you don't have someone helping you with that, it doesn't matter how much money you make, you're not going to be able to keep it, hold it, use it, share it.
Yeah, that's the key. You said two things that I want to really hit home. One, if you don't have someone helping you with that, I everyone tries to do this on their own, and it doesn't always mean, obviously we benefit and really push having a coach, right? We know the benefit. We have coaches, our coaches have coaches, it just keeps going. But having someone like a CPA or a financial advisor or an accountant or a mentor within money, a financial mentor, having someone to help you out. But also, you can put all your numbers in a spreadsheet and have the answer smacking you in the face using math and still not do it and still not be able to make it work. And it really comes down to how your belief systems around money are, or what your belief systems around money are, and your consciousness around what you want to do, what your time is, what your financial wealth needs to be. And if you don't have all that, then math doesn't matter.
In the end, hourly pricing is one of the best pricing systems. It is one of the clearest pricing systems. It is one of the most beneficial pricing systems. It is powerful beyond belief when you start utilizing it and using it to its fullest potential. It is also one of the scariest pricing systems to utilize. And that's why you have to work with someone to do it. And that's why you have to do this one-on-one. You can learn about it on this podcast. We can talk about it in concept, but if you're not working with someone to actually implement it into your business in a way that works, it's going to be very difficult, but it will change your life. You will be a different person because of the way that you charge for money. You will no longer be a service provider. You'll be an artist.
Next time on Destroy the Hairdresser, the podcast.
You and I could go inject Botox faster than we could get our hair license again.
Yeah.
And that doesn't seem right.
You could paralyze someone's face.
That doesn't seem right.
Yeah.